Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're doing well this Friday afternoon UK time. My name is Carl, and you're welcome to this webinar run by us here at the TEFL Org, where we're going to be talking about teaching in Central and South America. As I said, my name's Carl. I'm based here in Northern Ireland, where I work for the TEFL Org as a trainer. So if you, in non-COVID times, if you're going to do any of the practical courses we offer, then if you're going to do them in Ireland, you might be lucky to spend or unlucky to spend a weekend with me, whichever way you want to think about it. Or I also do some of the online practical courses that we offer here at the TEFL Org. I've been lucky enough to teach in many places around the world in the good few years I've been teaching. I've also got a fair amount of qualifications. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you a bit about Central and South America today. So please say hello in the chat so I know you're there. I can already see some people saying hello. Hi, Alan. Hi, Kaiser. Stample. What lovely. Stample, is that your real name? I like that name, Stample. Zebby, hello. Dan, Anne, Sandrine, Dave, hello everyone. Let me know where you are in the world so I can be totally jealous that I'm not there at the moment. Because although the sun is shining in Northern Ireland, it's not that warm. So let's get started. If you've got any questions, please put them into the chat and I will try and get through them. However, the first sort of 20 minutes, I'm going to be talking about Central and South America. After that, I'll get through the questions. Erin is running the chat, so any links that are put into the chat, Erin is really helpfully put them in for me. Also, I might ask her a question if I don't know the answer, because she is also very knowledgeable about the world of TEFL. Okay, so let's get started a bit here, talking about teaching in Central and South America. Okay, so first of all, a bit of general information about teaching in that region. Everyone I know that has taught there loves it. Okay, now I have taught a lot in Asia, a bit in the Middle East, quite a bit in Europe. However, I have not myself taught. I've traveled there, but I've not myself taught in Central and South America. I just want to throw it out there. But my biggest regret was I once got offered a job in Venezuela way before the trouble in Venezuela happened, and I turned it down. I also got offered a job in Colombia one time, and I chose to go to China instead, and I sort of regret that a bit. So my biggest TEFL regret is not going to those jobs in South America that I got offered. However, everyone I know who's taught there absolutely loves it. However, it's not the easiest of regions, and I'm sort of Central and South America. I know it's big, but I'm talking about it generally. Both of them. It's not one of the easiest TEFL regions to get to. So you've got to sort of temper your expectations a little bit about getting out to Central and South America. If you want to be up and running, especially in the COVID times, and get abroad quickly, Asia is easier than Central and South America. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there straight away. All right. The other thing is the jobs that you'll see advertised, they quite often don't have the flights included. They'll pay for them, for example. They don't often have things like an end of contract bonus, which you might get in Asia. Okay, so just be a bit aware of sort of the costs involved when going to Central and South America. Be a bit aware that you're not going to see as sort of flashy, we'll pay for your flights. We'll pay for your visa costs. You'll get insurance, that kind of thing. You're not necessarily going to get that in Central and South America that you might get in Asia. However, also Asia or the Middle East. I should probably throw Middle East in there as well. However, the cost of living is generally a lot cheaper in these countries. So once you're out there, you might find that you're spending less money. You might find that the money you've got saved up goes quite a bit further, that kind of thing. Okay. However, just be aware that, you might need a bit of money to sort of at the start to get out to Central and South America. Now, it is also a lot easier for these countries generally. And I'm going to talk a bit individually about these countries. However, just generally on the whole, it is easier to get work once you're out there. So you might find that you'll see a job advertised, but they'll want someone that's already there. Okay. Or quite a lot of people, they fly out there themselves. They then find work once they're out there in Central and South America. Okay. So that's a little bit different from sort of going to Asia. It's a little bit different from going to, I don't know, sort of the oil-rich countries, sort of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, that kind of thing, Oman. Because those kind of countries, they'll help you to get out there, that sort of thing. But in Central South America, they don't. The other thing, and I'm saying this as a British guy, North Americans have it easier. For some reason, visa costs and the visa process is easier for North Americans going to Central and South America than it is for Europeans or people from other countries. So if you are from America, Canada, you might find it a lot easier to get yourself some work down there in Central and South America. Okay. So let's just talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about sort of some of the individual countries. Sorry, my PowerPoint just went a little bit crazy. First of all, I'm going to group, some of them I'll talk about individually, but some of them I'll group together. And I'm going to group here together Mexico and Costa Rica, okay? They don't, they're not geographically touching each other, but, you know, I think they are good to group together, right? These are some of the easier countries to TEFL in. In the time that I've been teaching, you know, the past 15 odd years, 15 to 20 years, I've seen a lot of jobs advertised in Mexico especially, but also increasingly in Costa Rica. So you'll see jobs advertised for people outside to come there. So some universities, for example, might have adverts running for them, especially in Mexico and increasingly in Costa Rica. Okay, so it is, if you know, those are the countries that I'd probably start to look at if you're looking at Central America. Okay. You will see jobs advertised where they want degree holders. Okay, so you'll see jobs saying a BA needed or a BSc or a 3 or 4 year degree needed. Okay, often it just says degree. Doesn't matter if it's 3 or 4 years. Doesn't matter if it's a BA. Doesn't matter if it's a Bachelor of Science. Okay, so you will see that advertised, but it's not necessary. So in Asia, to get the visa, you need to have a degree in order to get the visa. However, to get a working visa for Mexico and Costa Rica, you don't have to have a degree. Okay. So that's just something that it can be one of the easier countries to get to if you don't have a degree. Okay. University jobs pay more. So if you're looking for a bit more money, you will generally find that the university jobs, and they tend to be in like the big cities, they pay a bit more money. So you might be financially better off by going with those. However, if you find a school job, you might get longer holidays. Okay, so the pay might be less, but you might get more time off. So it kind of depends on you. All right. Okay. So that's my little ideas about Mexico and Costa Rica. Any questions about it, put in the chat. Sandrine, I can see you asking a question about that. Is it easier to settle there with a family? I might talk about that generally as a whole, but I just want to answer your question about Cuba. Cuba I've hardly ever seen anyone go and work in Cuba. I've not seen many jobs advertised there. So I don't think Cuba is not really on the TEFL radar. Okay. Right. Now I'm going to talk about Guatemala, Central America next to it. Now, Guatemala can be quite poor. You know, there's quite hasn't got as much money going around as Mexico and as Costa Rica. So because of that, there's lots of volunteer opportunities. So if that's something that you want to get involved in, you know, you might want to go for like a volunteer type job. Sometimes these jobs can have a lot less pressure than a full-time university job. Sometimes these jobs can help people who need who need the help more than maybe the richer people, that kind of thing. Some people that appeals to. There are lots of volunteer opportunities in Guatemala. Okay. Also, I think Belize and Honduras as well, a little bit sort of in between Guatemala and Costa Rica and Mexico, that kind of thing. So there are sort of more volunteer jobs. However, Costa Rica and Mexico tend to have more sort of the paying jobs. Guatemala is quite cheap to live in. So you might find once you're out there, you can get some work. You can find that, you can get accommodation quite cheaply. You can get food, that kind of thing cheaply. But wages are not that high in Guatemala. So, you might see jobs advertised $300, $400 a week, or even $400 a month, something like that. And you might think, whoa, that's not much money. However, the cost of living is quite low. Okay. If you're looking to go out in Guatemala, one of the things that you can do is look for expat magazines. And this is generally a good idea for sort of anywhere really that you're looking for in South America. So if you, because the poorer countries in Central and South America, they might not have the money to pay for adverts sort of to recruit people internationally. So what they might do is start advertising more regionally. So Google some expat magazines. So that's magazines based for people who are not from that country but live abroad. So for example, when I lived in Japan, I was an expat, British person living in Japan. There was a magazine for Japanese people. Sorry, for British, American, European people who aren't Japanese, telling you about job opportunities. That's something that you can sort of look for in Guatemala to try and get some work. Somewhere like Guatemala, you can make a real difference to the students. One of the things that I found in my TEFL life is that I've quite often teach rich people. That might be fine, and that's fine. But however, the odd times when I've had to really help the poorer members of society, it has really made a good bit of work. It's really helped me to sort of feel like I've made a difference. Okay. Right. I'm going to get to all those questions. I can see them coming in. I'm definitely going to get to them. Just going to go through this a little bit first though. Okay. Colombia. Let's talk a bit about Colombia. Now, in my lifetime of working as a TEFL teacher, I have seen more and more adverts being advertised for Colombia. Obviously, there was a lot of history in terms of a civil war, that kind of thing out there. However, sort of the last 5, 6 to sort of almost 10 years, even when the sort of war was sort of going on a little bit, I saw more and more adverts being advertised for Colombia. So it's definitely somewhere where that sort of before COVID, there was more and more jobs being advertised. Okay. Quite often you see a lot of business English and a lot of IELTS jobs advertised in Colombia. So that might be something that you want to think about maybe. And I would say that's generally for the region. Business English is quite a big thing in Central and South America. They want to sell their products to North America. So quite often you see a lot of business English jobs. So that might be something if you want to get a competitive advantage that you start to think of. Doing some extra modules in business English, something like that. Colombia, quite often, again, they require a degree. So you will see jobs advertised where you need a degree. It's not one of the easier countries to get to if you don't have a degree, okay? But the other thing that they quite often want in Colombia, and you'll find, as I've said, generally about the whole region, is that they want you to apply when you're there. So you might see a job advertised, but they will sort of say something like, you have to make your own way here. Or you'll see a job advertised, and at the bottom it say, we only want people that are already in Colombia. Okay, so just something to be aware of. Okay. Brazil. I love Brazil. I would throw that out there. First of all, Brazil is one of my favorite countries I've ever been to. I would very happily work out in Brazil if I had the chance now. Okay. But work visas are very difficult to get for Brazil. So getting a work visa is really difficult to get outside of Brazil for someone. I did try in my younger days, and I applied for a job out there. They said, yes, but you've got to find your own visa. And that was really difficult for me to do. All right. So one of the things that you might need to think about is going over there on a tourist visa. All right. And this is sort of generally something that's seen quite common around South and Central America, but is very common in Brazil for sure, is that people go there on a tourist visa. That tourist visa might be a 6-month visa, and they work, but they don't work illegally. Sorry, they don't work legally. They are working illegally. Now, there are risks involved in this. And obviously, if you're working illegally, that might not be something that you feel comfortable with doing yourself. It might also not be something that the school is happy for you to do. It might also be something that could get you into trouble. So you need to know the risks that are involved with working on an illegal visa. However, it is something that happens a lot. Okay. It's very, very common to do that. All right. So just something to bear in mind there. There is a lot of a lot of competition in Brazil for jobs with well-qualified local teachers. So I remember when I was doing my Delta, which is like a master's level practical course, there was a couple of teachers that actually had flown over from Brazil to do the course in London. You know, they take their jobs quite seriously. The local Brazilian people take their jobs quite seriously. There's a lot of so you might find over there that there's a lot of competition with local Brazilian teachers for the really good paying jobs. Okay, so just you might end up with the jobs that are slightly less paid. You might end up with the jobs that don't give you a certain number of hours per week. So if you're out there, you might need to be prepared mentally for them to offer you say you'll get 20 hours teaching this week, but you end up only with 10 or 12 hours. So financially and mentally, you've got to be a bit prepared for that. Okay. All right. So just something to be aware of. Then I'm now going to talk a little bit about Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. I'm going to group these three together. These three countries can be expensive. All right. So be prepared to, for things to be costing you a bit more. All right. And I know that I had a good friend that got a job in Argentina. And when he was out there, he found it was actually just way more expensive than the lifestyle he wanted to have. He wanted to have like this quite flashy lifestyle, go out quite a lot, eat out in a lot of nice restaurants, that kind of thing. And in some parts of the world, that's quite easy to do on a TEFL wage. Southeast Asia, for example. However, in Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay, that can be a bit difficult. So check the cost of living. That's my tip for you, to check the cost of living. Check how much the rent is in each of these countries. Check it also in the city that you have found the work in, or the city you want to work in. Okay, check it. Make sure that you are ready for it. Okay, be honest about your lifestyle. And this is something that has, not just in South America, but it's something that I've come across in my life working around the world. But I find that this is quite true from the stories I've heard from South America, especially Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. Be honest about how much you want to go out. Are you happy eating in the local restaurants? Some people are. I love doing that. Some people really aren't. Be honest. Okay. If you're someone in the UK or Europe or something like that likes to eat out a lot flashily, might not be possible in Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. Okay. So just be a bit aware of that. Okay. These countries as well, you don't often advertise. You will find that they want people that are already there. So I think that's a common theme throughout all these countries, that they generally do want someone who is already there. Okay. But once you're there, once you're enjoying it, once you've got you got yourself set out there, that sort of thing, there are definitely jobs out there in Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay, especially in the big cities. Okay. Now, I haven't covered the whole of South America. I understand that for sure. The other countries that you might want to think about are somewhere like Peru, somewhere like Bolivia. However, those countries can be, they're not the wealthiest of countries. Again, they want people that are out there. Again, you've got to sort of think that it could be quite difficult to get a visa. You're going to probably have to pay your own flights, that kind of thing. It's definitely something where you would want to get yourself, if you know for sure you want to go out there, that there you want to work, you've got to sort of take the chance yourself to go out there, pay a bit of money, have a good chunk of savings in case it doesn't work out, get yourself out there. Okay, right. Let me just go through some of these questions. Thank you very much, everybody. Please, any questions you have, thanks for staying with me for that 20 minutes. I'm just going to go through them. Sandrine, 12 minutes ago you asked this question. I really hope you're still there. Is it easy to settle there with a family? Now, that's quite an interesting one. Okay, so, right, traveling with a family is, it depends what you kind of want for your children. Okay, obviously, if you're gonna want them, if you want them to go to like an international school that's generally English speaking and offers a Western style of education, that costs quite a lot of money wherever you go in the world. And some jobs, especially university jobs, I find in the Middle East and in Asia, offer to pay that for your children. But a lot of jobs do not offer to pay for that. The other thing as well is, obviously, if you've got children, then you need to, it's going to cost, you're going to probably need a bigger apartment. You're also going to probably need to spend more on food, that kind of thing. That is not generally, well, it's not, you're not going to get more money than somebody without kids, if that makes sense. Okay. The other thing to be aware of is maybe your spouse doesn't teach. What are they going to do when they're out there? Okay. You know, maybe they'll look after your kids. That's fine. But I also know quite a few couples that have gone abroad, and the non-teaching spouse has really had trouble finding work. So that's something that they've got to, in whatever field their job is in, they've got to work out what they're going to do. If they want to be a teacher, perfect. A couple, both teachers teaching, that's really appeals to recruiters. However, you just got to be aware, if they don't want to teach, what are they going to do? Okay. James, I think I spoke a little bit about Belize and Honduras. It's not somewhere where there's a huge amount of work. You know, you're going to find other places which has more opportunities to work, and that's why I didn't include it on its own slide. But you know, generally every country in the world, and I'm including North Korea because I've seen jobs advertised in North Korea, have TEFL opportunities, but there's not going to be as many out there, or you might need to put a lot more legwork in to get yourself work out there. Okay. Marvelyn, hello. What's the best time of year to look for work in Mexico? You're from the UK. That's a good question. I think basically whenever the term dates are in Mexico. And I think off the top of my head, the term dates are sort of, they start in September. They start in January, I think, is the next term. And then I think there's another one sort of around Easter time. I think generally is when the term dates start. So and often all schools, all universities, even language schools, they quite often run their start of terms by then. So if some people would leave, for example, if they wanted to replace a teacher, the term before. And generally you need to start looking about 3 months before those term dates, if that makes sense. So if you were to start looking for jobs now, hoping that Mexico would be available for people to go and teach in 2021, you'd probably looking now to try and get there in sort of August time. However, you might find if you fly out there and if you've got the cash to keep yourself going, that you'll find work pretty soon out there. Okay. Amy, hello. Right. This is a good question. I'm going to include current job opportunities available today in South America. Right. The problem currently at the moment on the 23rd of April 2021 is that these countries are really affected by COVID. So right now they're not going to be really recruiting people. However, you might find that they are recruiting for later in the year. They're sort of trying to hedge the bets. They're hoping that the vaccine will kick in, all that kind of thing. But I would not in April 2021 recommend flying over there and getting out there because of the amount of COVID that's going on at the moment. Okay, and I include sort of Chile in that, one of the richest countries in South America, because I've even then where they've got a quite good vaccination route, they're still sort of having increasing cases. So it's a difficult time right now to get yourself out there. However, I believe that probably by the autumn, that's the sort of thing that would be my opinion. This is not this is not any sort of doctor's opinion. There will be work out there by the end of the year. So you might want to start planning now to get out there by the end of the year. And then before that, you're getting your qualifications sorted, you're teaching online, that kind of thing. All right. Anne and Meg, interesting question. For South America, and Meg, I'm also going to include you in here at the age of 60. Because for a lot of the South American and Central American countries, it's difficult to get a work visa anyway, generally. So because of that, you might find that actually you're not too old, because you don't need to have a certain age in order to get the visa. You can just go out there on a tourist visa and find some work. However, if you're going to Asia, there is an upper limit, and it goes country by country to the visa you can get. So you might need to check what the countries you're looking for and whether you are eligible within your age range to get out there to go to Asia. All right, if that makes sense. However, Anne, I've talked with plenty of people in their 50s, 60s. I've even talked with a guy in the Middle East who was in his 70s. So it does, there are work opportunities definitely out there. Okay. Brooklyn, is accommodation usually included in South and Central America? Volunteer jobs, yes, because you're not getting much wage, so they'll pay for your accommodation. But generally, on the whole, no, accommodation is not included in South and Central America, apart from some university jobs where you might get somewhere to live on campus. But generally, that's something to take into consideration when you're looking at the wages and the cost of living that you might need to pay for accommodation. And again, this comes down to your lifestyle. Do you want to have a really nice apartment? That's going to cost you a few quid, especially in somewhere like Chile or Buenos Aires, somewhere like that. Okay. Meg, I'm not quite sure what your question is. Do you mean going out there and finding work? I'm not against people going against. I'm not the right word. Basically, if you want to go work in Central and South America, the best way to do it is for you to fly out there and find some work. During COVID times, that's difficult. There are also risks involved with the type of visa that you're on. There are also, I wouldn't go out there without a good level of money on your credit card, or I wouldn't, go out there without a big chunk of savings in case you don't find work. There is definitely more of a risk flying out there, small risk of not finding work. Whereas if in Asia, you can get the jobs before you fly out there, if that makes sense. However, don't let that put you off. If you're the adventurous type, if you really want to go out there, you will find work out there in South and Central America, just maybe not in April 2021, maybe in August, September, October, you will. Okay. Good. Right. I've just lost them. Let me just scroll down a bit. John, I think I talked a bit about Bolivia. James, I agree with your thing about COVID, that kind of thing, but I'm not so sure about the respective communities comment. I respect your opinion, but not something that I would necessarily agree with. Lourdes, hello. Have I said your name right? I'm not sure I have. You want to know what is required to teach English online. Right. First of all, what you need to have is something like one of our TEFL courses. Okay, so if I just show you our website here at the TEFL Org, what I would recommend for you to do, Lourdes, if you want to go and teach online, go into your Google browser and type in TEFL.org. You'll find here a big lot of, if you click on this bit here about TEFL courses, you'll find some information about how to become a TEFL teacher by doing one of our online courses. Generally, companies look for someone to have a 120-hour TEFL certificate. That is something that we offer. They often look for the accreditation level of that TEFL course. If you look at the bottom of all, and we're not the only TEFL provider out there, I'm going to say that out there, but If you look at the bottom of our webpage, you can see that we are accredited by people that, by organizations, sorry, that are not linked to us. They come and check people like me. They come and check our courses, our materials, all that kind of thing. So, and recruiters, people that want people like you, Lourdes, to come and teach their students, they want the TEFL certificate that you have to be accredited. So that's something that's worth checking. Okay. Then once you've done that, once you've done your qualification, that kind of thing, if you look on something like a TEFL, like on our section on TEFL jobs, you've got your qualification. You can have a look on here. These are some of the jobs around the world, but you can also check online. See, look, online home-based. You click on this job here, and it will give you information on how to apply. Okay, Lourdes. So first thing is your qualification. Next thing is to, once you've got that, is to just basically go and apply. All right. That's what you need. That's what you need. It's basically the certificate level. Okay. Yeah, Josh, Panama, same in Costa Rica. Again, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of money in Panama, but there's not a huge amount of money. You don't see a lot of jobs. I think Panama's also quite small, if I remember quite clearly, I think, in terms of population and that kind of thing in the region. So maybe it's similar to Costa Rica, but it's definitely easier. There's definitely more sort of paid work than somewhere like Guatemala. But yes, generally, there's not a huge amount of work in Panama. Okay. Josephine, hello. If you do go out on a tourist visa and want to apply for a working visa, where can you get advice on the process and how long would an application take? Ish, months, weeks. Nice one, Josephine. Good question. So a school will, if they like you and if they feel that you're going to stay for a while, they will hopefully help you with the visa process, turning a tourist visa into a business visa. You still have to hit the criteria for the work visa where you are. Again, in somewhere like Brazil, it can be quite difficult to get a work visa, even when you're there. So the school might just say, Josephine, we want to keep you on a tourist visa. Can be difficult to get a work visa in these countries. All right. So you might just find that you spend 3 or 4 years out there teaching and you're on the tourist visa the whole time. It generally takes, for all work visas I've found, wherever you are in the world, it generally takes a good couple of months to get those work visas to come through. All right. Especially at the moment where embassies might be closed, offices might be closed. Can often they want you to jump through a lot of hoops to get them. So, for example, I know when I went and got my Japanese work visa, I had to go get a chest x-ray because of some of the countries I'd lived in when I was in my early 20s. All right. So different countries, they might have some sort of special hoops that you need to jump through. I would expect it to take at least 2 or 3 months. Okay. But during that 2 or 3 months, you might, if you're happy to work on a tourist visa, be able to find work to keep you going in that time. All right. Okay. Anastasia, hello. What level of degree is required? Is it eligible for people who are not English speakers as a first language? So if you're a non-native speaker, what you might see jobs advertised, or you might find a company on Google or something, a language school. For example, you want to work in Bogota, you type into Google language schools Bogota, and you write to them, you email to them, you find them on Facebook, whatever it is, you contact them, you might phone them, you might Skype them, however, and you say, hello, I'm Anastasia, please can I come and work for you? Their first question to you might be, are you a native speaker? Because they generally might want native speakers. However, your question back to them should be, what do you class as a native speaker? Because some schools in Central and South America, they might say that a high-level IELTS exam result might count as a native speaker. So that's what I would suggest back to them if they do want a native they want native speakers only, and you're non-native. Okay. The level of degree generally tends to be a 3-year minimum, or 4 years, because some countries do their degrees over 4 years. Some countries like the UK do their degree over 3 years. a degree in any subject. It doesn't have to be in English. Okay. In fact, some schools, they quite like people to have something like a business degree. Okay. Stample, hello. Are all countries in Asia require a degree from English school, or are there exceptions? So to get in Asia, to get a work visa, you do tend to have a degree. What I would recommend for you, Stample, is we've done some webinars. I've done some webinars on teaching without a degree. So on the YouTube page or on the Facebook page, look back at some of the past videos I've done, and you'll see that I've done ones about teaching without a degree. Good countries in Asia to teach without a degree are Colombia. Colombia. I've got South America on the. I've got South America on my brain. Cambodia. I had to think about it and look at the map. Cambodia, good country for teaching without a degree, and also getting a working holiday visa and going to Japan to teach. Again, something that we have on our blog posts. If you go onto our website, TEFL.org, go on the blog page, you'll find out more information about teaching without a degree. Okay. Good. Stample. Amy, hello. Are there any, are there many online jobs in these countries? I don't think you will see specific jobs. Come teach Mexican students. Come teach Colombian students online. It's not something you tend. The biggest market for online teaching is Asia. All right. What you might find is that you can find your own students teaching online. So go onto something like a Facebook group for what I would do if I wanted Mexican students. I would go for something like on Facebook. I'd search something like language exchange Mexico City, or language exchange Rio de Janeiro, something like this. And I would try and advertise yourself as a teacher for these regions. Okay, so you go in there, you make a little post. Hi, I'm Amy. I want to teach online. Let me help you, blah, blah, blah. I charge 10, 15 pounds an hour, whatever it might be, something like that. See if you can get some students that way yourself. I don't necessarily see jobs advertised specifically for those. Okay. Kaiser, hello. You want to find out if having a diploma in primary education is suitable for China. Hello, Kaiser. I'm not quite sure about diplomas in primary education. China, they tend to want to have a degree. So if that's an equivalent of a degree, then that will work. I don't really know much about diplomas in primary education, Kaiser, so I can't tell you for sure. You need to probably, I would look at the companies and say, this is what I have. Does this count? I'm sorry, I would love to give you more information, but I'm not sure. Okay. Winnie, hello. You've emailed several well-known online teaching companies and they cannot provide work permits for Z visas. They are a marketplace more than an employer, or they only offer permits for foreign in-house staff. You do not know this and plan to go down the online route and move to China to teach. Is my plan not possible? Does this mean I have to teach face-to-face in schools, etc.? Winnie, I'm really not sure what your question is. You've written me a lovely long essay there. Thank you very much. I'm not quite sure what your plan is. What is your plan? Your plan is to, I'm trying to work it out, Winnie. Your plan is to go down, you want to teach online and then eventually move to China. Is that right? I would, first of all, Winnie, I don't know what these online teaching companies are saying particularly about that. So you're not hitting their work permit criteria. Is that what you're saying, Winnie? I'm really not sure what you're trying to say, Winnie. Let me have a think about that one. Okay, see if I can come back to it. Winnie, put in the chat, but make it a lot more quickly, shorter. All right. James, where in Mexico is recommended? Nice question. Mexico City, first of all. Really, where that's where the most work is Mexico City. Wherever you go in the world, generally the biggest cities have the most work. However, I think it kind of depends on you, what you want, James. Do you want to go and live by a beach, something like that? Do you want to be a bit more rural, have more of a authentic Mexican experience, whatever that means? You know, you might find it's up to you. I personally would love to go and work in Mexico City. However, some people might prefer to be more rural or by the beach. But I think definitely Mexico City would be the way. Okay. Joanna, I think I've answered your questions about age. I hope that has helped you. Paul, can I expand more on the university teaching? Any extra qualifications needed? So university teaching, generally, it sort of falls into two different ways. They can quite often be sort of, they want they want teachers to go, and all students maybe in the university do like an extra language. So you might go and teach, for example, the chemistry majors some very basic level English. Okay. However, you might also find that you're at a university teaching English majors or English literature majors, that kind of thing. So there are two different types of teaching, and you know it can be that for the conversation lower level classes, the universities are quite happy to take on pretty much anyone with a low level TEFL qualification or a basic TEFL qualification. However, low level is not right. Basic probably sounds better. However, to go and teach more of the higher level, intensive English literature, English language studies, that kind of thing, they might be more expecting you to have a degree, that kind of thing, if that helps. So what I would suggest to you, if you want to go down the university teaching route, generally anywhere around the world, they do tend, qualifications are key. So you might want to do something like our more advanced TEFL qualification. That might help you stand out a bit more in the crowd, might also help you to get the jobs, get your foot in the door more on the jobs. Okay, if that's something you want to go the route down. All right. Kaiser, yes, this presentation is generally about North, Central and South America. However, I've done loads for the last few weeks, the last year on other places. So go back on YouTube and have a look and you'll find other ones. Okay. Claire, where do we look for jobs when we get out there? You're going to Costa Rica next week? Well, Claire, all right, don't rub it in. What I would do is I would have my CV printed and I would go language school to language school, high school to senior school I would just blitz them. Okay, so I would just go and knock on the door. Hello, this is me. I'm Claire. Please, I would love to work for you. That's what I would do. Okay, put in the legwork, get yourself around there. So on Google, you do something like you search language school, search it in Spanish, might come up, that kind of thing. Next, I would look on something like the expat magazines, the regional magazines for people who aren't Costa Rican, who live in Costa Rica, if that makes sense, expats. The other thing I would do would be to sort of look on Facebook, do searches for language exchanges. I would do searches for language schools on Facebook, that kind of thing. But really putting in the legwork yourself, knocking on doors. That's what you need to do. Okay. Rock. Hello. Is that are you the Rock? I didn't know he wanted to get into TEFL. You come from Hong Kong. You've completed TEFL course. Is it possible for us, non-native English speakers, to find a teaching job in Thailand or Japan? Yes, is the short answer. It is possible. Thailand and Japan, apart from the working holiday visa, Thailand and Japan generally want people to have degrees in order to get the visa. So I don't know what that is. That's something you need to pay attention to. What I would suggest, if you're a non-native speaker, and on our website, we've got loads of stuff about helping people, because I can only go into it a certain amount, helping people who are non-native speakers. Okay. So if you go to TEFL.org, okay, and if you click on the blog page here, all right, up here in this corner, and if you type in there, non-native speakers, okay, and you click it, do a search there, you'll find lots of information that will come up about how to get work if you're a non-native speaker. So that's what I would suggest you to do, Rock. They can go into that, goes into a lot more detail than I can in 2 minutes. What you need to pay attention to is, don't give up if you're not seeing jobs for non-native speakers. There are definitely some out there, and I help people get out there. Okay, so definitely something that you need to do. What you might find is to not go to the big main cities. Everybody from the UK, from America, you know, the native speakers, they want to work in Tokyo, they want to work in Bangkok. If you are a bit more flexible, you might find that some of the cities that aren't as well known, and these are massive countries with big cities all over the place, there might be more opportunities for you out there. Okay. And then once you're out there, if you want to go live in Japan, if you want to go live in Tokyo, you can do. All right. Nick, hello. Will an online 120-hour TEFL certificate be enough to teach business English in, say, Costa Rica or Chile? Yeah. So basically, what schools look for is the 120-hour certificate. Then you might see something like business English is experience is preferable, something like that. But you don't. There's not really a 120-hour business English teaching certificate. There are add-on modules that you can do with us that would help you to teach business English. It would teach you the basics of business English, what's required of a business English teacher. That might be something that you want to look into, Nick, doing an add-on module to the 120 hours. But to go and teach generally, 120-hour certificate is absolutely fine. Okay. Yep, and enough to teach English in Japan. Yep, 120 hours is also fine as well, Tristan. You might see degree required for Japan. You might, okay, but you might also see jobs that aren't there required, okay. Paul, I think I've gone through a little bit about tips for finding jobs. Just knocking on doors is the way, okay. Just knocking on doors, finding language schools. Google is your friend. Actually, putting in some legwork to find a job. The jobs aren't going to come and find you. You got to go and find the job yourself. Okay. If you wanted a job in the UK, what would you do? Go and write to companies, look on job adverts, look on different types of websites. Same thing, Paul. Okay. Francesco, hello. You're very interested in voluntary jobs. Can give more advice. Yep. So you'll find on our website, again, on the blog page, we've got some information about volunteer jobs. Quite often volunteer jobs are shorter contracts, so that might suit somebody. Quite often the volunteer jobs, they want a little bit of money in order to get you up and running. So you might need to pay them for a couple of weeks accommodation, that kind of thing. However, they would give you food. So you can sort of get quite a nice holiday, cheapish holiday out of something like a volunteer job. Okay. So that's something to look at. The other thing about volunteer jobs is you might find wherever you are in the world, Francesco, that there are people wanting to learn English free around you. And something like refunot.net, refu.net is a website where they want people to help volunteer teaching jobs for people that maybe can't afford language lessons. Okay. But look on our website about volunteering. You'll find some stuff there. Okay. I'm going to be going in about 5-10 minutes. Okay, guys. So let's just keep the questions coming in. Right. Next one. Let me have a look. Ngozi. Sorry. Do I think it's easier to get work teaching? I think if you put that in about 6 months ago, I would say that there was loads of online teaching work. However, Ngozi, the world is starting to be vaccinated and the world is starting to go back to face-to-face teaching. So there is online work, definitely there is online working available. However, it's sort of it rocketed up and now it's sort of hitting the plateau, and I think very slowly starting to fall online work because the face-to-face teaching is coming back. So there's more work out there generally. What I would suggest to you, Ngozi, is that you try and look for recruiters, and I would so go on our website, go on something like the TEFL jobs. You'll see online jobs advertised on there. If they're advertising, they want people. Apply. Okay. Josh, what about going over? I don't know anything about the language assistance for the British Council. I don't know anything about that job, about the language system. Do you go there on a work visa or do you go there on a tourist visa? I'm sorry, Josh, it's not something I know about. Okay. I would say that generally schools, you need help to convert to a business or work visa, and generally schools aren't that keen to really help you because it costs them money. Okay. Sandrine, I think I've talked a bit about that C2 level. You've got to ask them to find out what they want, what they declare as a native speaker. Okay. Winnie, you've asked another question about Z visa. I don't know what a Z visa. Am I being crazy, Erin? What's a Z visa? I'm not quite sure what a Z visa is. Does this mean that online teaching companies cannot provide work permits for me to apply for a Z visa? So, Winnie, if you don't hit the criteria for the visa, for the teaching visa, if you don't, and no, I don't, and that tends to be you need a degree, okay, or your degree has to come up to a certain level that they expect it to be, that kind of thing. Then that is, if you don't hit the criteria, then that's the sort of thing, okay. Let me just see. Aaron just said you can't get online. So you would need to get a Z visa. You need to go face to face, apparently. Okay. Winnie, send us a private message on the Facebook page. Okay, so we can help you out with that one. Okay, because sounds like quite a specific question that I don't know the answer, and you can probably see in my eyes I'm shooting around trying to make up an answer or something like that, and I don't want to give you the wrong information. Give us a Facebook message and we'll try and help you out there, okay? Peaches, what a lovely name. What, you have a degree in information technology, is that considered an acceptable degree? Yep, it's fine. Nope, your degree does not have to be teaching. Okay. Steve, can I say a little bit more on the questions about age if possible? You missed those. Oh, we can rewind it, Steve. But generally, if you're going to go to South America, Central America, if you're going to go on a tourist visa, age thing doesn't really matter. If you're going to apply for countries in Asia, you need to check what the age limit is and if you fit within that. As I said, I've talked with people of all ages up to people in their 70s around the world. Okay. Alex, hello. You have a website now and someone contacted you yesterday. It says refugee couldn't pay for lessons. It's a good question, Alex. And I get people all the time saying that they can't afford to pay for lessons. How do you aim your advertising at more wealthy countries? So think of the wealthy countries, and then you look on Facebook and ads and look on Google ads and only let them appear for those wealthy countries. That's simple what you need to do. Just tailor your the advertising setting, the advertisement settings to just appear in certain countries. Okay. Sammy, is CELTA the right document to teach anywhere in the world? So the CELTA is a certificate that you can use to teach anywhere in the world. I have a CELTA. However, a CELTA takes more time. However, a CELTA is quite expensive. I would only recommend a CELTA to somebody that really knows that teaching is what they want to do for a big chunk of time. If you are 100% sure that you want to spend 5 years abroad teaching, 10 years abroad teaching, it's probably a good idea to have a CELTA because you'll get paid more money. However, it costs a big chunk of money up front, and also it has quite a high fail rate, CELTA. So just be careful of that. If you just want to be up and running, teaching online within a month or so, something like that, you've got the time, do something like our 120-hour certificate. It's cheaper. You could do it online at your own pace, all that kind of thing, and it will get you up and running more quickly, Sammy. All right. Good. I'm glad I could help you, Claire. Brooklyn, you completed your 140-hour. Nice one. TEFL course in June. Do I get help with finding jobs after this, or is it down to us on our own? No, we can help you for sure. I think we have things like a CV check, that kind of thing on our website. You can look on that. You can find that kind of thing out. Loads of videos out there. This is something that we can definitely, we won't say this is the job for you, Brooklyn. You need to go out and find the jobs and that kind of thing, but we can help you with that, with general applications, if you see what I mean, but not maybe necessarily an individual application for a certain job. Okay. Josh, no problem. Linda, hello. You have an Open University degree, statistics, English and Spanish. Will this be okay? Yep, that will be absolutely fine. Central and South America, quite often they really like people to have a good level of Spanish, something like intermediate level of Spanish. So that is something that you need to bear in mind. Not necessarily crucial, but it does help. Okay. Winnie, apart from TEFL Org, hello again, Winnie. ESL CAF, what are some other trustworthy websites foreigners looking for a teaching job specifically in China? Guardian, Guardian, Guardian TEFL jobs are a good one. But I would say TEFL Org and ESL CAF are the main ones. You're not going to find many jobs advertised that aren't on there. The other thing you might find is on Facebook, there are some groups where people discuss online teaching jobs. I'd go into that. Something like, I saw one today, online ESL jobs. I think it was a Facebook group. Also, there's a Facebook group that we have, TEFL Org. People sometimes put jobs up in there. Okay. Sarah, how important is it to speak the local language? It's not crucial, but it helps. You know, I've never, wherever I've worked in the world, I've never spoken the local language. Okay, it's just not something I've done, and I've got round massive chunks of the world, no problem at all. Diksha, hello. Yes, the 120-hour course is enough to teach offline as well as in India. Yep, it is. People find work around the world with that 120-hour course. Lovely. Brooklyn, is it easy to travel around? For example, a job in Mexico for 6 months, then go to Brazil for 6 months and so on and so forth. This is what you're looking to do? Yeah, I would definitely say so, Brooklyn. Yeah. So, you know, companies like people to be there in front of them. And if you can say, I'm going to be here for the next 3 months. Now, you probably got to spend about a length of a term somewhere. That's generally what schools really, for people that are in front of them, for people coming from abroad to them, this is different. But for people that are generally in the same town as them and are in the same room as them, you know, they kind of want you to stay for a term. Tends to be 10 to 12 weeks. So, you know, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there isn't a thing. But definitely spending 2 terms worth, 6 months, and then moving to another country, I would say is definitely something you could do, Brooklyn, for sure. Okay. Paul, hello. What's the general relationship? We've got about 3 minutes, guys, between teachers and also teaching and students in general. A lot more familiar. Well, I think that really depends on you, Paul. Generally, I like to get quite close to my students, and I quite like it when I go out for a drink with them and that kind of thing. But I've also known teachers that have absolutely zero urge to do that at all, and that's absolutely fine with them. Cultural shocks. I've never really had a cultural shock. Is not really something that I've really ever experienced myself, because I think the best what you've got to, before you go somewhere, do your research and check what they are doing. I would say that the biggest shocks tend to be economic. Okay, so you know, make sure you've done your research on that kind of thing. I think as long as you do your research, Paul, about where you're going, you'll find that you're absolutely, you know, you won't find that many cultural shocks. Okay. Sammy, you have a CELTA for 3 years ago, but you've not started yet. Why not, Sammy? What happened to you? I would, if I was you, Sammy, I would do something like one of our online weekend courses. So that's something like you do a virtual online course with someone like me, and we do the mornings, we do a bit of theory, we talk a bit about generally teaching, then in the afternoon you do a practice lesson with no pressure, and you know, I would give you some feedback, and I would say, Sammy, you need to do this. Sammy, you did this really well. Sammy, this is one of your weaknesses, this is one of your strengths, blah 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 blah. Then you can put that on your CV. You can say, look, I've got a CELTA, but I've also got this weekend practical course, because you get a pass letter, you know, reference letter sort of thing from that as well, Sammy. That's what I would recommend you to do if that's something you feel you need, Sammy. Okay. Sidra, could you volunteer with a TEFL certificate but no degree as you graduate next year? Yeah, you could volunteer. Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, definitely volunteer work without a degree is definitely something that you can do pretty, in big chunks of the world, and sort of if you're volunteering, it does bring in like sort of places like Africa. It also sort of brings in some of the poorer sort of South Asian countries, although COVID is a bit of an issue there at the moment. So that is something to think about. If you don't have a degree, volunteering can be a great way to travel the world. Okay, I think we're dead on an hour. Thank you, everybody. And I got through all the questions. I haven't done that for a while. Thank you, guys. I hope I answered your questions really well. Thank you for staying with me if you did the whole hour. Thank you, Erin, for running the chat. If you've got any more questions, please send us a message. So on our Facebook page, yes, you can send us a message in the send message bit. On YouTube, you can put into the comments underneath. Hopefully, we'll try and get round to them. YouTube, sending us a direct message is definitely the way forward. You can find us on Instagram. You can also go on our webpage, TEFL.org. In the bottom right corner, it says chat with us. You can send us a message on that. If you've got any questions or if you've got any comments, please let us know. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I'm now want to go straight on an airplane to Brazil, but obviously that's not possible. So I'm going to go have a drink in my back garden. Thank you very much, everybody. See you all soon. Bye, bye, bye.